Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest minds in history. The Battle of Waterloo was an embarrassing defeat for him, and the great emperor was quite sour to hear that he was going to be exiled to an East African island for the rest of his life. Nonetheless, he might have succeeded in the Great Battle of 1815 if it had not been for some mistakes that he made or sickness. He still lost though, and that is what you are going to hear about today. Through the great jumpy, impatient, and arrogant orders he gave to his men, mainly the cavalry, he had a tremendous loss at the combined hands of Britain and Prussia. Napoleon's negative leadership at the Battle of Waterloo had an elephantine impact that shaped Europe to the modernized version we have today. Napoleon Bonaparte was born in Corsica, August 15, 1769. He attended a Royal Academy in France in 1779, and the other boys there bullied him for his short stature. But as the immature classmates bullied him, they were unaware that they were growing something inside of little Napoleon's mind. A complex that plagues us humans today as we speak, and a complex that made Napoleon so determined to rise up against all others that he soon conquered most of Europe as a dictator. He officially ended the French Revolution when becoming first consul, and effectively rose France up to a European superpower when his empire was in full throttle around 1806. He conquered a lot of territory, the majority of Europe, except the northern islands, to the eastern border of Russia. His empire started to take a downfall in 1812. Napoleon apparently had decided on invading Russia in the summer and to quickly take over Moscow and head back home. But once his Grand Armée arrived, the town was completely empty. As the Russians drew Napoleon in, it got colder, and Napoleon's army were wearing summer clothes. As Napoleon realized his mistake, he retreated back to France, but it was too late. Most of his men had died, leaving his army crippled. Propaganda spread and Napoleon was soon exiled to the island of Elba in 1814. Then, Napoleon miraculously escaped from his imprisonment, gaining the support of the Elban citizens, and found France waiting for him. He started a 100-day campaign to beat his northern enemies that ended with the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon was a brilliant military leader, but he may have been the author of his own downfall. He stated in 1805 that he had about 6 or more years, then he must cry halt. This may have been him admitting to an early defeat, lowering his confidence in himself just a bit, and as it happens, in 1809 his skills as a military leader started deteriorating. In 1815 in Belgium, he attacked unwisely and hastily, increasing his chance for a brutal defeat. His improvisation skills were subpar at this battle, and he used his troops for one main goal instead of the defense of the cavalry, or sending his troops out later for an attack on the weakened British and Prussian forces. The positive reaction at his negative leadership was owned mostly by Napoleon's enemies, consisting of Britain and Prussia. Seeing his empire fall, they had more land to conquer and add to their territories. The Confederation of Rhine, Switzerland, and Italy were happy to be free of his reign, being rebellious states of his empire. Negative reactions to the French loss were the people of France, losing much honor in their nation. They also had huge debt from the large sums of money Napoleon sunk into his 100-day campaign. After Wellington fixed up the debt like the good, honest man he was, the majority of the French population probably had a neutral stance on how things were with their fallen leader. Bonaparte's soldiers also must have felt embarrassment and disappointment in their leader, being as skilled as he was. So, to sum up the reactions to this negative side of leadership, the positive reactions hailed from the enemy countries and rebellious states under the French Empire's control. The angry and shameful reactions hailed from the French population and military, maybe even some countries benefiting from the great Napoleonic Empire. The failure of the French at Waterloo left an incredible legacy and impact on European history and society. European politics, society, and economy were all affected by Napoleon's loss and carved a path for some of the nations involved in the world wars to develop and grow more and more. In the short-term side of the legacy, Wellington's success led him to become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. France's economy was struggling, crushed by debt, and Wellington helped pay off the debts and help France become stable once more. The French loss was apparent in society, with a metaphor referencing it in the tragedy Les Miserables. There was also a long-term legacy left behind with the loss of Waterloo. The fall in one of the great last empires infinitesimally affected the anti-imperialistic movements in Europe and Asia. The fall at Waterloo led to the slow development of the British Constitution, and news of the British victory helped the UK become even more renowned as a world superpower, helping the UK economy grow. Napoleon's showmanship of negative leadership at Waterloo had an elephantine impact on European culture, economy, politics, and society. But this also brings up the question of the individual. As humans, our gift of intelligence lets us impact anything possible tremendously. Whether you win, lose, be perfect, or mess up terribly, you are able to impact either culture, science, society, economy, politics, even the world around us at this very second. Napoleon lost the battle at Waterloo, and it changed 4 things I just listed. The psychological trait we develop from evolution of doubting the power of the individual can be life-saving or life-threatening. Napoleon changed the world in 1815. Now what can you do?